Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Dororo episodes 21 and on. I just finished recording One Piece, so if I seem like a little bit of a mess, I'm sorry. If you saw yesterday's One Piece reaction, you'll know why, but yeah. Last time with Dororo, we had 2 episodes, one of which was very fillery. Like, it didn't feel like it was important at all. It was just like an opposite day kind of scenario. And then the second episode felt completely opposite, like it was excessively important to the story, where we had Hyakkimaru having to deal with not only this chimera-like demon, but this guy who in the past had lost his mother to the demon, partially because of his own fault, and then had become kind of he just kind of lost his mind and started working with the demon. But in the end, Hyakimaru didn't get anything back when he defeated the demon and kind of went berserk, killing the demon excessively brutally and deciding that he needs to end things with his family before anything can continue on. So we have 4 more episodes to go, and I won't say we will get through all 4 today, but I'm saying we're gonna go basically until I feel like it's the point to stop. And if that ends up being all 4 episodes of to finish this, then it does. If it only ends up being 1 or 2 episodes, then it only ends up being 1 or 2 episodes. But yeah, we'll just have to see. We have other stuff to we have something to replace this if this does end up finishing out the series today. We have other stuff for the donation rewards, so no need to worry about that. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where this goes and how this story ends. I don't know if we're ever going to get a second season, but it almost seems like this could be wrapped up within these last 4 episodes. All the stuff with the family, even the stuff with the demons and all, just feels like it could be wrapped up. It just doesn't seem like it's a story that's going to need another season. It just doesn't seem like there's that much more they could do with it. And I could be wrong. I could definitely be proven wrong by that, but we'll have to see. So, let's just get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow a link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect to resume play. And resume play. Because everything after it fades to black and then fades back in will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. I think I missed something or said something wrong, but either way, you get the gist. I say this in all my videos. So that all being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So apparently in the 69 anime, the original version, Lord Daigo did die, but apparently in the manga he survived in the end. So I guess the 2019 version is more accurate to the manga. I looked this up in between. And so that ends things, with our final shot being of an older Dororo going to finally reunite with his Aniki. And he's very very pretty as he's very pretty older like that. I like the older design of him. He looks very pretty. He's very. It looks like an older version of him. Again, Hyakimaru doesn't really look much different, but Dororo, like they definitely aged him up in a very good way. I feel. I'm trying to think of how long that would have been. Maybe 10 years. I feel like it's kind of unclear. It didn't really say. But again, Hyakimaru didn't look much different, so maybe not 10. Maybe it wasn't that many years. Maybe 5. I don't know. But either way, so this ends off Dororo. And overall, what did I think of it? I loved it. Honestly, it's not one of my favorite anime of all time necessarily. Um, it's not going to be like up there in my top 10 list or anything, but I did still really love it. It's still a fantastic anime with great voice acting, great animation, an amazing story. It's just and a lot of sadness. Like God, I felt so sad for the horse. Both of the horses, the mama horse and her baby. But before I talk about anything else, I want to talk about the theme of mothers and sons because that was a very strong theme throughout the entirety of this. You had Dororo and the way he missed his mother, the constant feelings about that, and how he would constantly seek out like other mother figures with these other characters we come across. You see Hyakimaru and Tohomaru, the two sons of Niu, I think was her name, something like that. But Daigo's wife. I can't think of her name. But yeah, it's like we saw. Actually, I think I might still have the page open. Yeah, I do still have the page open. Nui, that's her name. But yeah, Tohomaru and Hyakimaru, the sons of Nui and Daigo, and we get to see just the depth and stuff portrayed through those relationships, and how she, as a mother, connects to both of her sons and where that goes in the end. And with Hyakimaru, you can even say the one other dude as well. Um, I don't remember his name, but the prosthetics maker. Like again, I was kind of joking about it in the reaction, but Hyakimaru called him mother, like in a very endearing way, and he meant it. Like yeah, it was kind of like a little bit of a funny moment. Like it's like okay, so because he doesn't understand like the difference between mother and father and everything necessarily, but he called him mother like also because that's how he viewed him. To Hyakimaru, he was his mother, and that's really emotional and beautiful. And like you see it with many other characters, even like even just in the last reaction before this one, like the guy whose mother was killed by the demon, and he went crazy and started working with the demon. Motherhood, but between specifically mothers and sons, was a very strong theme in this, with all of our main characters really, outside of Daigo, um, and I guess the priest outside of him as well. But it's like all of our real like main characters: Dororo, Tohomaru, Hyakimaru. Those are the three main characters of this anime, and all of them like had their mothers, and they were all sons who just really strongly had to deal with motherhood in this. And I think that it was done wonderfully. It was written well, it was handled well, and the closure that they all got really felt good. Like Hyakimaru finally got his closure with his mom, Tohomaru did in the end, and Dororo was able to accept things and really find closure with it along the way as well. All three of them, and it's beautiful. On top of that, there was also the theme of basically the pursuit of power and the difference between pursuing power for the right reasons or letting that power control you. This was very, very noticeable in these last episodes. Both Hyakkimaru and Tohomaru lost themselves to the pursuit of power, but for two different reasons. With Hyakkimaru, it was for revenge and the sake of gaining his body back. With Tohomaru, his pursuit of power was for protecting the land and stopping Hyakkimaru, who he believed to be a devil, which he did realize was wrong in the end, luckily. I'm so happy about that. But this pursuit of power is where the series began. It was the entire reason the entire plot was able to happen. Because Daigo was the one who started it all with his pursuit of power. His pursuit of power caused him to be willing to sacrifice human life, his own son, and just do all these horrible things in order to, well, in order to gain that power. That's all he cared about. And in the end, you see how both of his sons forego that power, forego that pursuit of power, choosing instead to rely on their hearts. And that's what's important. And they broke that chain that Daigo started. That was where this series was truly headed. That was the true closure to this series. Not Hyakkimaru defeating his father, not Hyakkimaru even gaining his body back. But this series, again, it started with Daigo making that pact with the demons. It started with Daigo's pursuit of power being so selfish that it caused all of the events that would follow. And so the fact that it ends with both of his sons relinquishing that pursuit is phenomenal. It's such perfect writing. It's just the best possible way to close out this kind of story. And then you have the brutality of the situations, of the demons, of the wars, of this kind of land. And they didn't hold back. There's a lot of media that romanticizes samurai. And I won't lie, there's been plenty of that I've enjoyed. But there's not enough media, I feel, that shows that there were samurai who were really fucked up. There were samurai who did atrociously horrible things and would constantly abuse the people of their land, constantly murder innocents, and just treat them like shit just because they had those positions of power. And this show does not shy away from that. But it also shows that there are good samurai too. You get to see multiple cases of that. And the big surprising one in the end is that the priest was a samurai. We find that out. So you see that there's both sides to things, and you also see that this type of period was very brutal in a lot of ways. You see women and children violently murdered in this series. It does not hold back. You see women having to sell their bodies to the samurai just to be able to survive. You see all these poor people who have missing limbs and horrifying diseases and can't take care of themselves because of it, because they're the poor, basically. Which that hasn't changed much in current day. You see all this horrible shit in this series, and it doesn't hold back. You see all these characters murdered. I still think back to the one girl and all those orphan kids she was taking care of, and how the samurai just violently murdered them all. I mean, I think back to Dororo's parents, and it's just like I appreciate that they didn't hold back with this, that they showed that things were not so black and white with samurai. And that's the biggest theme of this series, for sure. Moral greatness. In a lot of cases in the real world, people use the concept of gray morality way too often and out of context. People try to like say that morality in general is gray, or that it's all up to interpretation and opinion and things, but there's a lot of cases, especially in the modern day, where it's very much black and white. It's very much like, okay, these people are wrong and evil and bad, and it's like these people are in the right. It's like there's very much that dividing line there, but moral greatness still does stand, and we see kind of issues like that here with the concept of doing the wrong things for the right reasons, or just understanding why people have been doing these horrible things, but like not denying that how horrible they are. You can see multiple examples of this throughout the entire series. And Hyakimaru and Tohomaru in the end are the biggest ones, of course. Because in these final episodes, we see, again, this kind of goes back into the entire thing with them uh, and their entire issue with just like trying to be like the pursuit of power and everything. My mind was blanking for a second. But it goes back to the entire pursuit of power thing as well, and the reasons for their pursuits of power and how it all ends up. And it's you see like you understand their motives. And they're not even bad motives at all. Well, I mean, the revenge aspect of Hyakimaru is not great, but like Hyakimaru wanting to gain his body back from the demons that ate it. It's like, yeah, that's fine. That's a fairly good idea. And Tohomaru just wanted to protect his land and the people in it. And it's like, yeah, that's very noble. But the ways they were going about it was wrong. And they both realized this in the end. But we see how that moral gray area functions in this and how the people are affected by it. And one of the big examples of where that was going with this is like there's that constant idea being like drilled into Dororo that he couldn't let Hyakimaru become a demon. And the idea was like he couldn't let like Hyakimaru was already in that moral gray area. He was trying not to let him go into the red, basically. He was already doing bad things by that point, but he was on the verge of getting like being irredeemable, basically. And it's wonderful to see that in a show like so heavily focused on, because there's a lot of anime out there, a lot of games and movies and shows and whatnot that have that kind of theme in it, but it's never usually the big main focus. It's usually just like, oh, this is just a theme of the game, of the movie or whatnot, and it's like, but that's not actually what it's about. But no, that's definitely what it was about here. Um, and in the end, I just think that this series really just felt complete, like a complete arc. I was talking about before we began this in the pre-thoughts that I didn't see how it was going to go any further. Like I felt like it was going to close out in these episodes, like that a second season just doesn't feel like it would be needed at this point, and I stand by that. As after seeing this, I definitely stand by that. It just does not feel like a second season is needed. Like, yeah, you could say, oh, you want to see what happens to them now that they're grown up, now that they're a little older. You want to see them go on more adventures or whatnot, but I almost don't. Like, I mean, sure, I mean, to some degree, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but this was such a like finite, perfect closing ending that it gave me all the closure I needed with the series, and I just don't feel like there needs to be anything more. It's like with She-Ra, which we finished more recently as well. I just There are so many people on social media, especially Twitter, who are still calling for more She-Ra, are still calling for like a movie or another or some kind of spin-off series or something. And I'm just like, no, it closed out in the perfect way. We don't need more. We don't need another season. We don't need a movie. We don't need anything. Let it just be. Let it end. Like, people need to learn to let the shows that they love end. Not every show needs to go on forever. In fact, most shows could probably benefit from not going on forever, like Simpsons, as an example, um, or shows like that that just last way too long. Honestly, um, you could even some people might say, "Oh, but what about One Piece?" And it's like you could probably say that about One Piece too. Yeah, um, but at least One Piece is keeping its ideas and themes and quality throughout the entire thing. At least it's not like it's changing what kind of series it is. Plus, it's a completely different kind of series that actually benefits more from being longer. Unlike Simpsons, which is very episodic, and it's just like at some point with the kind of show Simpsons is, you just kind of do all you can do. Like, there's not really much of anything else you can do with the series. People have even pointed out that they recycle a lot of things. But that's not even the point here. The point is, I feel like this was the perfect end for this series. I don't think there needs to be another season or anything else. Again, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to seeing more. It's just I don't think there needs to be more. I think that this was as good of an ending as possible. So, with that being said, with us finally closing out this reaction, um, oh God, see, this is why I definitely need to keep this stuff like written down a little longer, because I forgot who donated this, who asked for it as their donation reward, I should say, because I don't have it listed here. I should definitely keep that stuff listed down longer. Was it Matthew? Was this your request? Maybe it was Matthew. I'm not 100% sure. But whoever donated, please remind me, because I would love to thank you more for choosing this as your donation reward. This was such a great series. I loved it from start to finish. And I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss reacting to it. But we do have to move on. And so the next item up for business for the Wednesday slot, I think I think we need to kind of go back to something that we haven't been watching for a while, something that we started reacting to before and just haven't gotten to the next season of yet. So yeah, next the next donation reward for the Wednesday slot, we are getting back to Smurf's donation reward of Dragon Prince with season 3. And I'm very excited for more Dragon Prince. I have been missing the series, and I definitely want to see where it goes after season 2. So we will be getting into that, and that will be starting right away next week. So in the meantime, tell me what you thought of these final episodes of Dororo, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.